don't do anything. I would have rather have that have happened than what just unfolded.
Yeah. So the Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Mikael Granlund from the Nashville Predators for a second-round pick. A couple of years ago, probably 100% on board with this. Granlund, now 30 years old, makes $5 million each of the next 2 seasons as well.
31,
his numbers have continued to decline. 31, sorry, yeah, it's still listed him as 30 years old. He was 30 at the beginning of the season. That's why it says 30 on the J Fresh card. But I mean, look at these impacts. I'm pulling up for you guys here right now. Literally, the only thing that this guy can do is pass. Like he's a good passer of the puck, but the problem with that is, like, okay, I could even live with that if, like, the bottom 6 was filled with wingers and you're just looking for a center, like, from that aspect. No, he would have to be the play driver for the bottom 6. That's basically how they are viewing this, and he absolutely is not going to do that. I mean, for Ron Hextall to start to undo some of the bad that he had created within the last couple of, days, you get the blessing of Kapanen being claimed on waivers by the Blues. You get McGinn, through waivers and clear some space there. You trade Teddy Bluger. You cleared out some space to be able to make a move. Why is this the move that you're doing when you see, I mean, I don't want to say 100% that the Penguins could have gotten Jacob Chikrin, but you look at what Ottawa gave up for him, and how are the Penguins not winning that? How are they not willing to give up that? Because that is not even close to what the rumored ask was, and why all these teams were bidding out or bowing out, I should say.
Yeah. The fact that this is the move that we were kind of building towards, and honestly, no Penguin fan knew what that was going to be leading. We saw the moves, like we saw people getting placed on waivers, Kapanen getting claimed on waivers. They just traded Teddy Bluger. That's like also very fresh as of like an hour ago. But we saw these moves being putting into place, and we knew something was coming because we kind of questioned whether Hextall was going to do anything or not. But obviously, he wouldn't be doing these things if there wasn't going to be a move. And for it to be this move, as opposed to bringing in someone like Jacob Chikrin, who is the one that I thought the Penguins are going to get. I said that on a show, I think, a couple weeks ago. Clearly, that didn't happen. He's on his way to Ottawa.
Great move for them, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's really good for them. And it's this one is potentially, at least very, very seemingly so, really bad for the Penguins, not just for this season, but for the future, because all the relief you got from the cap space situation by the moves that Ron Hextall was doing is instantly gone. Instantly. And they're also gone for the next 2 seasons. Now, there are going to be some people coming off the books over the next season and in the second season after that to have cap space. Like, I looked at their cap space situation for next year, and they're still projected, even with Granlund on the books, to have about $19.3 million in cap space, just because you have guys like Zucker and Jari and Dumoulin coming off the books. But still, you are alleviating even more cap space, and you're filling it with Mikael Granlund. I mean, do
you want to become real sad?
What? Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
Mikael Granlund and Sidney Crosby have the same amount of contract left with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Sid only has 2 years left. That's crazy.
Yep.
I remember when that contract seemed like forever. That means we're 10 years into that contract, actually. But this contract is just, I mean, the trade itself, like, second round pick, who cares? But why are you doing it for him? I would rather have thrown in more for someone better. That's the problem. And you're alleviating the cap space situation for this guy who has not played at a really productive level in a couple of years. I mean, you just showed the graphic of his JFresh cards for his statistics, his like analytics, and it's not good on any sense of the level. I think that the only hope that you can have, and this is a false hope, I guess. The only hope that a Penguin fan can have is that in Nashville, he was playing on the top line, and so he was probably going against at least the best players every night that they played. So maybe in the lower level, he can play a little bit better, but still, it is not good to
again,
look at that card, look at the play, look at the production that he has, and that's what we're trading for. Like, and now the Penguins have. Hold on, I have cap friendly up right now. The Penguins are back to $260,000 for cap space. So you're telling me that's our move? Like that's it? We're not even looking forward to anything on Friday now when the trade deadline comes.
No money retained, by the way.
We have nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing to look forward to unless we make I don't want to say like a blockbuster trade, but like we are trading like NHL level guys to get more cap off the books and make an NHL trade. Outside of that, what's going to happen? This is our move. This sucks.
Based off what Hextall's done, I'm like fully expecting Marcus Pettersson to get moved and ending up with like Brock Besser.
Dude, this is okay. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to bring in Brock Besser, but not at the expense of Marcus Pettersson, because Marcus Pettersson is one of your only productive defensemen that you have currently. So I would not be willing to do that. I mean, for the season, he's been your best defenseman. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. I get that Besser is intriguing because of what he did in 2017, 18, and 18, 19. But to me, with what he's done the last few seasons, that's why he should be a buy low candidate. Like, especially on that contract. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be moving like an NHL legit asset like Marcus Pettersson is to get a guy like that. But man, I just have a bad feeling if there is another move coming from Ron Hextall, it involves Marcus Pettersson going out.
I mean, honestly, and you might disagree, and this might seem crazy, but just thinking about it and just a gut reaction right now, I would have rather them make a dumb trade for JT Miller than get Mikael Granlund.
Oh yeah, because I mean that's a good player on a bad contract. Granlund is a bad player on a bad contract.
Yeah. Now, granted, the JT Miller goes several years after the Granlund contract is up, but still, for what realm of a sense of a window that you had now, at least JT Miller would be a good player within that window. Mikael Granlund, like you said before we even started recording, there's a good chance that window is slammed shut now, because
I mean,
and you're trading for what seems to be a bad player. Doesn't really. I don't know how does this improve you? That's the thing that I would want Ron Hextall to explain to me is like, okay, how is this improving upon McGinn and Kapanen and Bluger, and like these guys collectively what they were doing? How is Mikael Granlund or Mikael Granlund or however you say his name making you better as a hockey team by getting rid of those guys? I just don't understand it.
Right. Like, I don't want to keep piling on this guy, like the player, because he didn't trade for himself. It's not his fault. It's just insane to me that this is what's coming the other way. This is the big move that Hextall was clearing out cap space for, and you don't get money retained on it. This is a $5 million player. Are you kidding me? And what's the expectation for where he's going to play too? Is he playing in the top 6 on the wing, or is he playing 3C, or is he playing on Carter's wing? I mean, regardless, him and Carter are going to be oil and water together. That line is going to be terrible. It's going to be worse than it was somehow when it was Carter, Kapanen, and McGinn. Danton Heinen is going to have a hell of a time on that line.
I would guess that this top 6 is going to stay the exact same, and then he's going to slot into
great. So we're going to have a $5 million third line player that's doing absolutely nothing, not killing penalties.
That's the thing. It's like you look at the top 6. Who's he replosing? Nobody. I don't really.
Yeah,
and so
I mean, unless Hextall wants to trade Zucker too or something. Friday.
Who's actually productive this year? He has to go on that third line, and that's the problem. Is like, so he can either play third line center or he can go on the wing, and I guess Carter can still play center. Whatever they decide to do there, it's going to be those two and Heinen. And then the bottom one, also Kagula. How do you pronounce his name?
Got called up. Drake
Caggiula. Yeah. Man, I was way off. Drake Caggiula. I'm sorry to your family. I mispronounced that name so bad. I butchered it. He got called up, so he's going to be in the bottom 6 because what's his face? Friend of the show, Brock McGinn, got sent down. Teddy Bluger got traded. And we have Ryan Poehling, Josh Archibald, and Drake Caggiula apparently to play. He's going to play fourth line center, I think. Or no, Ryan Poehling's not even back yet. What?
If Ryan Poehling's able to play tomorrow, he would be the one taking the spot. But if he's not able to go, Drake Caggiula will play. If Poehling is able to go, Caggiula will serve as the healthy scratch forward.
I just feel like they took a bad situation and made it worse.
Yeah, I mean, I had really kind of talked myself into Chychrun being what they were going to do. I thought maybe Sullivan like kind of was going to get his way, had kind of talked Hextall into it. Like the Kapanen domino falling started to make me feel that way. And then with McGinn and Friedman, I was like, oh, if they're able to, I don't want to move Marcus Pettersson, but if they were going to do it, the only way that I could stomach it is if in a separate deal, Chychrun's coming back. Like, okay, then I get it. And I had started to talk myself into the case being, oh, okay, what this is going to end up being is a package deal with Chychrun and a forward coming from the Coyotes. I don't know why my mind ever gave Hextall that much credit, but yeah, I mean, Mikael Granlund actually makes a lot more sense when you think about Hextall's history. But the thing is, too, that I will say is for as bad as he's been with like player evaluation and free agency and like within the season transactions, like he's been okay at the deadline with the Pens up to this point. You know, Rickard Rakell was really nice to get last year, and Jeff Carter extension be damned. That was a good move at the deadline when they acquired him. It obviously panned out well. So I thought Hextall had done pretty well at the deadline. And then this happens. So yeah, like it's a huge statement to say acquiring this one player is slamming the window shut. But again, when you're talking about a $5 million player that has his impacts on both ends of the ice, that is taking up their salary cap and their ability to improve the roster this season and 2 seasons from now, like in the future. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's that ridiculous of a statement, to be honest.
Sorry, I'm counting forwards. 7 of the 12 forwards make over 5 million or more now.
Yeah.
I don't know what every other team looks like in terms of that, but we now have a $5 million third liner.
So, I mean, if you get 50% retained on this, I still don't love it, but I think it's palatable. Like the fact that they're paying him this full $5 million.
If he was a rental, like if it was just 1 year, then whatever. Like that, I still wouldn't like the trade. I still don't think it makes you better. But I could swallow like, okay, you just have him for this year, then he's gone. But he's got 2 more years after this year. That's the thing that is the killer for me. Forget this year. I don't even care about this year anymore. I'm looking at the future of the Penguins, and this guy is still going to be on your team. Now, granted, like you said, I don't want to keep harping on him because it's like it's not his fault that he's a Penguin now. Like obviously, Hextall is the one that brought him in.
Yeah,
we're rooting for him. I want him to be good, so I'm hoping I'm right that being in the not as elevated role and being on like a third line could help him out and possibly make his play better. But Hextall's decision making is so bad. Like, why do you not cough up more for a guy like Chychrun? I don't understand the thought process, especially when you look at like what other teams have been getting in some of their returns for players. A second got you Mikael Granlund. Like that's.
I mean, I was going to say, listen, same team, Nashville, also a second round pick, and making $1 million less. Give me Nino Niederreiter over Mikael Granlund.
Yeah, not only that is he actually plays good.
Yeah, well, and he was already traded too, by the way. So I'm just saying, like,
no,
second round pick. Yeah,
no, it makes absolutely no sense. I don't get it. From if Hextall is not fired this offseason, I'll be shocked.
But and that's the thing is, if you're going to fire him, why did you just allow him to trade for a player that's under contract for $5 million the next 2 seasons? That's a great question, actually. I mean, I've seen people start to bring this up. In the back of my mind, I've been thinking about it. Does Fenway Sports Group even care about the Penguins? Or are they just like an asset for them to make some money? Because like it doesn't seem like they don't even have the Penguins in their, and this is like a minute thing, I guess, but like their header on Twitter and like their social media profiles, like no mention of the Penguins whatsoever. Like I feel like it's just an asset
just
that they
Liverpool
own.
and the Red Sox.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, maybe they just haven't updated it since they bought the Penguins. It's still only been like a year.
Their spokesperson like hasn't said anything about the team. Like, do they even know what's going on? I mean, they're in for a hell of a wake up call in like 5 years when they find out that Hextall traded for Mikael Granlund.
in 5 years when they find out.
Yeah.
Three years after he's gone off the team and his contract's expired, they're gonna
be like,
out.
wait, what happened? Did we ever win a Stanley Cup with the Penguins once we bought them? Let's go back through and look. And they're gonna be in for a wake up call when they see what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is the case. Like they don't really care what happens.
I mean, I hate it. I didn't like. It's hard to be excited, honestly, like about this team since Fenway Sports Group took over. And at the time, it was like I was kind of excited about it because of like the amount of cash flow. I was like, man, like they're going to be able to improve facilities. I think like, obviously you have a salary cap that everybody has to adhere to, but in the form of like upfront cash, like who's really going to be able to compete with them? And I really haven't been happy with the way that the team has been managed since they took over. Yeah,
and it's not even like Mario has as much influence as he had before.
They're not hands on.
He's still
I guess that's my gripe.
That is an issue because I mean we knew that the prior ownership cared because Mario was a majority owner. Like we knew that he cared about the team and was going to do everything that he can to help the team win. We don't really know that about Fenway Sports Group. Mario is still a minority owner, but he's not a majority owner. He doesn't have as much influence as he had before.
Has he been to a game this year?
Who knows? Who knows? Sure. I wouldn't want to go to a game this year. Let's be honest.
I'm just asking. Like, I'm not like trying to like talk poorly about him in any ways. Like in this case, I was just curious. Like
no. Fenway Sports Group took away his season tickets.
Okay,
but. Yeah. Maybe here's another question that I've seen like people floating around, not necessarily just about this trade, but just prior to, like during the past week or so, like how much influence on this trade and just in moves in general that the Penguins have done, like do you think Brian Burke has on this situation as too? So like in this Mikael Granlund trade, how much influence do you think Brian Burke had on that trade, not just Ron Hextall?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know that we're going to know. To me, Granlund seems like more of just a Hextall guy as opposed to a Hextall and Burke guy. If it was both of them, I think like we're looking at like JVR being a Penguin right now, something like that, which by the way, I would have preferred if it was James Van Riemsdyk. But I think that he would probably, fit that. What's that truculence that Brian Burke likes to throw around? Granlund doesn't seem like a Brian Burke type of player to me personally, but I don't know. I mean, could be. He could definitely be influencing things there. I could tell you one thing. Mike Sullivan obviously isn't getting much of a say in things.
Yeah, no. I don't think so at all. And I think he's probably gonna. He probably got the update on Twitter too, just like the rest of us. And he's like,
he's got post notifications.
He's like, what is this?
Yeah, maybe.
Like last week when he said, "My roster is the roster is the roster." He's going to answer the same question tomorrow night after the game. The roster is still the roster.